All right, Sandra, let's bring in House Budget Committee Chairman, Texas Congressman Jody Arrington for more on this and other things, because we do want to ask you about negotiations to raise the debt ceiling. But first of all, Congressman, this is a mess. I mean, the repercussions are just echoing throughout the entire country. And you've got the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, Mayorkas, up at the podium saying, we got this all under control. What do you say?
Well, there's a different B word in Texas that we sometimes use, but I'll just say baloney. Nobody believes the...
There are a lot of cattle in Texas.
Yeah, exactly where I was going. Look, there's no credibility here. This president has ceded operational control to the drug cartels, and anybody in Texas knows that. The president's first job is to provide for a common defense and to uphold the laws of the land. That's not happening. He has the tools. He has the authority. He doesn't have the will. The last president had a will. Where there's a will, there's a way. But he is, I think, content with placating the left instead of putting our citizens and their safety first. And now you have this deluge of and record flow of people, crime, drugs, and gang violence, and none of it's good. And it's not just hurting Texas and Texans. It's affecting everybody in the country.
I'm just digging through some of the latest news out of here. It's amazing how it's just coming in fast and furious with hours to go. You see the countdown clock to the Title 42 being lifted. I think people watch this and they want to know how their local communities are going to be directly impacted by this. I mean, you know, at first covering this in earlier years, you saw just the border towns dealing with this, the landowners, but now it affects everybody. I mean, looking at what's happening, I'm digging through this press release out of Rockland County. I mean, these are suburbs north of New York City who are saying we cannot handle any more, to the point where they're getting a restraining order in New York Supreme Court to tell the mayor of New York City, don't send them here. We can't handle it.
Yeah, the daily surge is up by twice the amount to about 10,000 a day and counting. I think the message is clear when Title 42 goes. People think that they're going to be able to more easily and readily cross the border and infiltrate into the interior of our country. But I would tell you they've been doing that even when the president has had Title 42 authority. In fact, if you look at the laws today, he has the authority to send people back immediately for any purpose and for any duration. And then I would say to my fellow Texans, the Constitution is clear. If the federal government fails to repel an invasion of drugs, in this case, in my opinion, enabled by the drug cartels, they have the right to enforce the laws, detain and secure the border. And there's another clause that says if there's imminent danger, such that will not permit delay, which is essentially the self-defense power for states, well, then the states can step up and protect their citizens and do what this federal government is miserably failing at. And that's our last line of defense. It's our last hope. If we can't use the power of the purse and oversight and some of the measures we have in Congress, we're trying to do everything we can to stop it.
You know, Congressman, you talk about the tools to cut down on illegal immigration. Members of Congress are trying to give the president more tools to cut down on it. Senator Tom Tillis, Senator Kirsten Sinema, independent who caucuses with Democrats, Senator Joe Manchin, want to give him 2 years of a new authority to expel people. There's not Title 42, but it would give him the same authority. He don't want to have anything to do with it.
No.
We had Leader Scalise on just a few minutes ago talking about H.R. 2, which is going to get a vote in the House in the hours ahead. The president has threatened to veto that, and that would put back in place some Trump-era policies, which reduced immigration to 40-year lows. It looks like Biden is saying it's my way or the highway, but at the same time blaming Congress for not dealing with this problem.
Again, I don't think the American people are buying it, and for the administration, the secretary, the president's spokesperson to say it's under control, the border's secure, when the Secretary of Homeland Security's own numbers contradict that. But yeah, the president has not complied with court orders with respect to remain in Mexico, and he hasn't complied with congressional directives with respect to the border wall. So this guy has made clear he is dug in. He's going to pander to the left, and he's going to open this border. and millions more are going to come in if we don't exercise as Texans and all sovereign states our right of self-defense. These are extenuating circumstances, and it's going to require extraordinary leadership to be able to stop it ultimately. But it's not going to come from the White House. That's clear.
Well, Congressman, this is a lot on the plate of a White House, obviously, that has a president that has already announced he's running for re-election. And you've got the border crisis, you've got the debt ceiling happening right now where, there's big questions over where this economy is heading next. This is a lot. This is a lot that's happening in a few days right now.
Well, you mentioned the top two self-inflicted crises that are affecting the American people. And certainly the most immediate safety and security risk is the border, but the cost of living crisis is real. And 6 out of 10 Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 45% of Americans say that if they had a crisis that cost $1,000 or more, they couldn't address it. We're in a bad way because of the reckless spending, the failed economic policies, and every American's tightening their belt. They're changing their spending habits, and we haven't seen that from this president or from the Senate, but Republicans have. They've raised the debt ceiling, and they've done it responsibly by coupling it with common sense spending reforms, and we're asking the president and Chuck Schumer to do the same.
Yeah, Karine Jean-Pierre has said for days now that Republicans aren't doing anything about the debt ceiling. You did pass a bill that would raise the debt ceiling. That the White House doesn't like it, but it doesn't mean that you didn't do anything about it. But let me just close by asking you this question. Would Republicans ever allow the debt ceiling deadline to pass and have the United States go into default?
Well, I will answer it by saying we've sent a bill that doesn't allow it. We have sent a bill that we had consensus in the House that got 217 Republicans that responsibly raises it, pays our bills, protects the good faith and credit of the United States, and addresses the spending that's created this inflationary firestorm, along with a lot of other bad things for this economy, and is jeopardizing the future of our country, our children's future, with respect to a debt crisis. We've done that. We haven't seen any response, any counteroffer, and right now, at least they're at the table talking, but talk is cheap. We need action, and we need it soon, according to the president's own Secretary of Treasury.
Congressman, I just want to draw your attention to the screen there. As you can see, these new images coming in. This is happening live right now. It appears these migrants have some sort of raft, perhaps leading them. They're holding hands or tied together some way, but making their way across that river. Happening right now, Congressman. I just want to get your reaction to those live images.
Well, my reaction is we have a security and safety crisis for the American people on account of a derelict president and Homeland Security Secretary who refused to enforce the laws. I don't think they need any tools. They need a political backbone to do something about it. But I'm watching the images there, and it reminds me that we also have a humanitarian crisis. And my colleagues tell me they care about poor people and the vulnerable. Well, these are the poorest and most vulnerable, and the drug cartels are abusing them. They're being exploited in every which way. And I would just suggest, respectfully, that this president is aiding and abetting this humanitarian crisis, and it's sick, it's sad, and it doesn't have to be that way if the president will be the leader we need in this hour.
It's just sad to see these desperate people trying so hard to get into the United States, and all because they got pushed there by cartels that have sold them a bill of goods that their journey will be rewarded at the end. But unfortunately, the bill of goods in many cases has come true. So, Congressman, great to talk to you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Sandra.
Oh, thank you, sir.
All right, so the problem with the cartel is likely to get worse.